So let's jump right into it. Acting. When did I start? Who? Why am I doing it? Is it something that I can see myself doing forever? And all of that. So in 2001, my stepfather said to me, do you want to try something new, acting? And I was like, sure, I can read. This should be easy. I already know how to put on. This can't be that hard. I got my lines. I would go over them with him, and he'd be like, yeah, you should say it like this. You should do it like that. Now, I'll talk about my stepfather in another video because he is something else. I love him to death. But when it came to acting, he was not playing with me. And this is because he had a background in acting. He took classes at HB Studios. He had his comp card, all that stuff. And these are things I didn't know anything about that. I'm like, I'm acting, what's the big deal? So when I said yes, I wanted to do it, my mom, my stepfather, they were like, listen, we got to get your headshots. I got my headshots. And then I was a part of the series in Queens. I think her name was Pat Medlin, but I'll get the correct name and put it in at the end. And I was like, this can't be hard. I know how to read. I can do this. And while we would go over my lines, my stepfather would be like, no, you can't say it like that. You have to say it like this. You got to look like this. And he would even give me tips on how to remember those lines. So that was in 2001. In 2001, it worked. I think I did maybe like one season and maybe 4 or 5 episodes. I wasn't on the show that long. And I was like, okay, this is cool. This is something that I can see myself doing. I went on a few auditions. But then at that time, I was discouraged because like I'm going on these auditions and then you go, it's so intimidating. You see all these people in the hallway. You see people practicing and they're doing all these things. And I'm like, what the hell? What are you doing? And not realizing at the time, like, oh, they're warming up. So I didn't know too much about it. So I was intimidated by it and I didn't want to do it like that. They would find places for me to audition and agencies and stuff like that. And I was just like, oh, I don't think I can do this. And my parents didn't force me to do something that I didn't want to do. Like, if you don't want to do it no more, then child, that's your business. Just focus on your schoolwork. And that's what I did. I stopped. So that was 2001. Come back to 16 years later, I started working on 848. When I started in 848, the initial character that I was going to play, I was like, Inch, I don't know if I can do that because I'm trying to be an educator. I don't want to talk about this. And that character at the time, I was just like, nope, I can't do that. So he found a way to bring me in and I was really happy because I'm like, wow, this is something I actually like to do. And it worked. And then after that, in 2018, I was a part of The Bush that was based out in Brooklyn. And I did a few episodes. Then you know what happened in 2019, the end of 2019, we were hearing about people getting sick and we didn't know that was the pandemic happening. So by 2020, I was like, what am I gonna do? Did I use all my talents? Why don't I go back into acting? How do I do it? Who do I reach out to? I'm in Brooklyn, so let me figure out what I can do. And at that time, they had Let's Go, and I saw other people posting about it. And so I said, let me reach out to them to see how can I audition for it, because I want to go through the proper lane. I don't want to just hit you up and be like, oh, I just want to be a part of it. Because sometimes it works. You can DM somebody and be like, I want to be a part of it, and they put you on without a problem. But for me, it was like, I want to go about this professionally. I still didn't have any updated headshots. So mind you, the headshots that I had at 15, it was like 2 pigtails, it was black and white, pretty, but not at this age. I can't use those same pictures. So I reached out to them. I'm like, hey, how do I go about it? I think I even went on their website, like sent an email, like I'm interested in auditioning to be a part of this. What do I need to do? They sent me my lines. I practiced them. And I was like, okay, wow. I was feeling happy within myself because this is something I'm passionate about, and I didn't want time to go by without me using all of my talents or seeing what could happen. Because sometimes you feel like, you know what, that time has passed, I'm done, I'm not about to do that. And I reached out and it was like, okay, made the cut, and I did the Bullet to the Ballot, and then I was also a part of Let's Go season 6. So shout out to C-Class for that. And then after that, I was like, you know what? I want to do some movies. How do I go about doing movies? And it was someone who I worked with on 848 web series. And his name is Juan Lee Florexile, and he's from FlowX Films. So I said, hey, listen, if you have anything going on, let me know. I'll be willing to audition, because I always want to audition. I don't want to come into it thinking like I already know them and I got it. And that's what messes us up sometimes. We feel like, oh, I know them, they're just gonna put me on. No, it doesn't always work like that. People are not just gonna put you on because, and sometimes it does, but sometimes when you put people on, they embarrass you. So you don't want to just put people on just for the fact that they're your friend, your cousin, and you put them on and they're not taking the craft seriously. So I auditioned. I got the role for Behavior. That movie hasn't come out yet, but when it does, you know I'm gonna post it. And I auditioned for that role, and I was really happy. I was loving it. I'm like, yeah, keep going. At the time, I was still teaching, but I was like, even though I'm teaching, I'm still gonna pursue this other gift. And I did that, and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna stop here. What else can I do? And then in 2021, I reached out to Jermaine Smith, who's a part of the Brand TV, and I was like, hey, how do I go about the same thing, same process? Went on the website, email, how do I go about doing this? How do I audition for it? This is where I was like, child, you not ready? He said, do you have a reel? I'm like, a reel? I know what a reel is, but did I have one? No, but I didn't want to let that stop me from going for it. No, I don't have a reel. So I went on YouTube. I sent whatever clip that I was in from any of those web series, anything, hey, this is what I did. And, he was like, okay, so got this information, and it's like, now that I've seen what you can do, I want you to try out for this. So it wasn't necessarily like, okay, we're going to pull you in and do it right away. It was like, you got to show and prove. And I was anxious, of course, because it's like the fire is burning inside of me to continue to pursue this. And I didn't want it to die down because I'm working. Of course, you have to be able to maintain yourself, because you see what's going on now with the actors in SAG, the Screen Actors Guild. They're going on strike. They need more money. So imagine if that was my only source of income. I'll be out here gagging. So I hope they are able to work that out so that everybody can get to making their money and that people can get what they deserve. So in 2021, I did like a scene for Vish Merrick, then Traffic Lane in 2022, Words Can't Explain in 2023, and When in 2023 as well, which is coming out. And again, that's with Jermaine Smith on the Brand. So with all of these experiences, it helped to develop me as an actress and also as a professional in that setting. I know for me, I'm a stickler for timeliness. I want to be on time. I don't want to waste anybody else's time, so I'm going to be there on time. And then you have to realize not every gig that you get is going to be a paid gig. So even if it's not a paid gig, that doesn't mean that you can show up whatever time you want to. And most importantly, you got to know your lines. And that's one thing with me. I knew my lines. What is the lines? And I even like to come a little bit earlier, so perhaps maybe I can practice with the other actors. Sometimes you don't know who you're going to be in the scene with, right? You don't know who you're going to be in the scene with. You want the chemistry to be good. You want to see, like, what are you going to say? What are you going to do? And sometimes you don't have an opportunity to do that if somebody shows up late, if you're late. So you want to make sure that you're able to respect people's time. Time is money. So maybe even if the gig might be free, right? Sometimes you have gigs that will pay you per diem, and then they'll say this is the flat rate. It all depends on the situation. But at the same time, you want to treat a paid gig and a non-paid gig the same, because guess what? You're the one that's going to be on camera, and it's going to be a representation of who you are. So with me, I was able to network with people, meet people, try new characters, stretch myself as an actress, and still understand that although I'm working as a teacher, I can still pursue this, and I don't have to say, all right, now I'm back to work, I can't work on this. No, this is something I'm passionate about, I'm serious about it, and you have to give everything your all. So with that being said, acting is something that I love. I love playing these new characters. I love giving the characters depth. Sometimes you'll read a script and you're like, all right, And another thing that I started to do as I got older, I read through the entire script. Some series or some things that you're working on, they may not send you all the pages. They may say, this is what you're going to read. So you don't see the whole story until you watch the show, the episode. And it's like, okay, now I see. But when you have an opportunity to see the full script, you read through that entire script, see what's going on with these other people, and most importantly, you want to give your character a backstory. You want to give it some depth. You want to study other people. And with everybody that I've worked with, they've given me tips. And sometimes you have an opportunity to put your input in, but you can't get on the set and feel like you're going to tell the director and the producer what they need to do or what should be doing. It's like, it's their vision. Your gift may not be behind the camera. Your gift may be in front of the camera. And if you have the gift to go behind, you still need to be able to be respectful and ask before you even do your scene. Give a suggestion. Don't be demanding. You are not Denzel. You are not Jamie Foxx. You are not Beyonce. You are not Hollywood. You know, Beyonce's music. But still, you're not up there yet to be having these demands. So I know I'm not Viola Davis. I know I'm not Octavia Spencer, so I don't really have any demands. It's just like, what's the time? Who am I going to be working with? Are we going to practice? What are you, what is your vision for the character? And this is what I'm thinking. So that way you can collaborate. And that's when it gets to the point where you're understanding who you're working with, and it helps you develop. And I don't know everything, so I'm never going to come to a set and be like, yeah, well, we need to do it this way because on the last thing, I did it like this. No, you have to be open to constructive criticism. Sometimes you may get feedback that doesn't feel good, especially in this. And I never, ever want to look crazy on screen. So when I'm doing a scene with anybody, it's not just about me looking good. It's about everybody looking good. So I'm going to give suggestions to the person who I'm on scene with. I'll give a suggestion to maybe the director, say, do you think we should do this? How about that? And they may say, try it. And if they give you that freedom, try it, execute it, because you never know. Now that I've been doing this, like, okay, I'm developing, I'm learning. I have reels now. I have headshots because I had to do headshots. I'm like, girl, you can't be saying, here's my picture from my Instagram. This is my Instagram page. Here's a picture of me. It's like, no, you have to be professional. So I went and got my headshots, and I've just been going for it. I've been going for different roles, different characters. You can't always be the neck rolling character every time. Sometimes you may be the villain. Sometimes you may play the auntie. Sometimes you may play the wife. You may play the crazy girlfriend. You may play an auntie. You may play somebody who's mentally unstable. But you still have to remember to respect the craft and respect everybody else that you're working with. Don't come to people's sets late, because you could be taken away from somebody else that you're working with and they might have something to do. To me, that's disrespectful, because if I'm here on time, where are you and why you're not here yet? Because there's so many other things that go on behind the scenes. And if it's something that you're passionate about, go for it. If you feel like your gift, again, is to write something, write it out. You don't have to share your idea with everybody, because sometimes you share your idea with people and they steal it from up under you. And you're like, well, that was crazy. How did that person just take my whole idea? I wasn't expecting. Sometimes it happens. You never know where your gift lies. But for me, in the meantime, I've written little skits and stuff like that for work, and I know that I can write, but at the same time, I don't know about writing stage plays. I don't know about writing series or movies. So you sit in these spaces with these people who are knowledgeable about it, and you learn from them. You take it in. You figure out, oh, what does that mean? You hear different terms, and even if I'm not familiar with the term, I might look it up on my phone right away, like, okay, so that's what that means. Because you don't know everything. So be respectful of the craft. Be professional. And also don't feel like, oh, I may be too old for this. I should have done it. No, it's not about that. Because if God has given you a gift, you have to use it. And you'll never know. And that's why I was like, after that pandemic, I was like, I'm going for everything. I'm going for it. So at least I know I tried. I wasn't thinking about, hey, you know what, I'm just gonna forget it. No, it's like I've done it before, I'm gonna do it again, and this time when I do it, I'm gonna do it better than I did the last time. When I get this scene, I might even switch up my hair. You also need to know, like, every time you act, you can't look like how you always look all the time. If you're gonna play a crackhead, you cannot come with a beat face and be fab, because that's not what the scene calls for. If you're going to pay somebody that's glamorizing, you know, you glamour it up. If your hair, natural hair color is black, you might have to switch your hair colors. You have to be open to change. Not saying you have to shave your head off like America's Next Top Model, but you have to be open to becoming that character 100%, 115%, because now you don't represent you, you're representing that character. Give your character a background. Where did they grow up? Where are they from? Where do they work? What is their life like? And I'll help you develop. I don't know everything about acting, and I'm still learning. So as I go and I grow through this, I've already seen the changes. So give yourself some grace. Don't give up. And if it is something that you are truly passionate about, respect the craft, respect the people who are part of those projects that you're in, and be open to constructive criticism. And even if you hear no, because as a teenager, I used to hear no at these things. I'm like, well, I guess I would, like, there's so many other avenues that you can go. It's not necessarily one way to get in, but be open to trying something else. Like, oh, you said no? That's fine. That no is perfect because you needed a yes somewhere else. So don't give up, and I'll see y'all soon.